When Shedeur Sanders stepped onto the Pro Bowl practice field, nobody expected a sneaker announcement to steal the spotlight. But that's exactly what happened. In the middle of drills, cameras rolling, microphones on, Shedeur casually revealed something that instantly sent the internet into a frenzy. His own signature shoe line is dropping in April. Not a collab, not a limited colorway, a full signature sneaker, as a fifth-round rookie. That alone raised eyebrows. Because in the NFL, signature shoe deals are usually reserved for established superstars, veterans, franchise faces, not rookies still proving themselves, and definitely not late-round draft picks. Yet here was Shedeur, standing at the Pro Bowl, announcing a move that most players don't see until years into their careers, if they ever see it at all. And that's where the real story begins. This wasn't just about footwear, it was about perception, branding, influence. While some fans celebrated the moment, others immediately questioned it. Was this earned? Was this hype? Was this another example of popularity outweighing performance? The comment sections lit up, debates exploded, and suddenly the Pro Bowl wasn't even the main headline anymore. What made it even crazier was the timing. This reveal didn't happen in a random interview or a quiet off-season post. It happened at one of the most watched events on the NFL calendar. Cameras everywhere, media everywhere, millions paying attention. That wasn't accidental, that was strategic. And while critics argued about stats, votes, and whether the Pro Bowl itself even means what it used to mean, Shedeur kept moving forward like none of that noise mattered. Calm, confident, focused, almost as if he expected this reaction. Because behind this announcement is something much bigger than shoes. It's about how fast Shedeur's profile is rising, how quickly brands are betting on him, and how the league is starting to treat him less like a rookie and more like a long-term investment. But what happened next at Pro Bowl practice changed the entire narrative. Because once the Browns dropped exclusive behind-the-scenes footage, everything shifted. And that's when people realized this moment wasn't just flashy. It was calculated. The second that announcement went public, the NFL world reacted instantly. Social media feeds filled up, group chats started buzzing, and suddenly, Shedeur Sanders wasn't just being talked about as a Pro Bowl rookie anymore. He was being discussed as a brand. What made this moment even more wild was the historical context. Reports quickly pointed out that Shedeur became the first fifth-round rookie to make the Pro Bowl since Puka Nacua. That alone was enough to stir debate. Some fans celebrated it as proof of his rapid rise. Others immediately questioned whether the Pro Bowl has turned into more of a popularity contest than a performance award. And that controversy only fueled the attention. Because while critics were pulling up stat lines and comparing numbers, Shedeur was standing on the field, mic'd up, locked in, treating the moment like business as usual. No flashy reaction, no bragging, just quiet confidence. That contrast made everything feel bigger. On one side, you had the internet arguing. On the other, you had a rookie quarterback casually announcing a signature shoe line at one of the biggest NFL events of the year. That visual alone sent a message. Shedeur wasn't waiting for permission to build his platform. And the reactions kept pouring in. Some fans joked that his Pro Bowl title would now follow his name everywhere. Others said this moment officially pushed him into the must-watch category. And a few critics doubled down, claiming the hype train was moving too fast. But while all that noise was happening online, something much more important was unfolding behind the scenes. Because the Cleveland Browns quietly dropped footage that showed a completely different side of this story. Not branding, not marketing, leadership. And once that footage went public, the conversation changed fast. While the internet was busy arguing about popularity and Pro Bowl votes, the Cleveland Browns released something that instantly shifted the tone of the conversation. Exclusive mic'd-up practice footage of Shedeur Sanders at the Pro Bowl. And this wasn't just casual behind-the-scenes content. The clips showed Shedeur commanding the huddle, calling out adjustments, communicating directly with receivers, breaking down routes, making quick reads. You could hear him giving instructions like a veteran, not a rookie still trying to find his footing. That's what caught people's attention. Because leadership isn't something you can fake on a football field, especially when you're surrounded by players you've never played with before. Different systems, different play styles, different personalities. Yet Shedeur adapted fast. He didn't hesitate. He didn't look overwhelmed. He stepped in and took control. That mic'd-up footage told a very different story than the one critics were pushing online. It showed preparation, awareness, confidence without arrogance, and most importantly, it showed that he wasn't at the Pro Bowl just to enjoy the experience. He was there to work. You could see it in the way he communicated, the way he corrected small details, the way he stayed locked in even when the atmosphere was relaxed. That's the kind of behavior coaches notice, the kind of behavior teammates respect. And suddenly, the conversation wasn't just about a sneaker reveal anymore. It became about credibility. Because branding only works when it's backed by substance. And that footage gave fans something real to point to. Something that explained why Shedeur keeps getting opportunities most rookies don't. But just when it looked like the narrative had settled, an NFL legend stepped into the picture. And his presence added a whole new layer to this story. Just when people thought the Pro Bowl buzz couldn't get any bigger, another detail surfaced that instantly grabbed attention. Michael Vick was coaching Shedeur during Pro Bowl flag football activities. And this wasn't some random celebrity appearance. Michael Vick isn't just a former star. He's one of the most electrifying quarterbacks the league has ever seen. A player who understands pressure, spotlight, criticism, and what it takes to survive as a high-profile QB in the NFL. And the fact that he was standing on the sideline working directly with Shedeur Sanders sent a powerful message. Because this relationship didn't start at the Pro Bowl. Reports and past interviews suggest Vick had already been mentoring Shedeur during his college years, making visits, offering advice, and helping him understand the mental side of the position. So when cameras caught them interacting again at the Pro Bowl, it didn't feel staged. It felt natural, like a continuation of something that's been building quietly behind the scenes. That matters, because mentorship from NFL legends isn't handed out casually. It usually happens when veterans see something special, potential worth investing time into. And fans picked up on that immediately. Social media clips of the two talking went viral. People started pointing out how rare it is for a rookie to already have that level of access to elite football minds. It added another layer of legitimacy. Not just hype, not just branding, real football credibility. And while critics were still arguing about Pro Bowl votes, Shedeur was out there absorbing knowledge from someone who's lived through the exact spotlight he's stepping into now. But here, where things really took a turn. Because mentorship and leadership were impressive. But what happened next shocked even longtime NFL fans. And it had nothing to do with football drills. It had everything to do with business. Here, where the story officially crossed into rare territory. Signature shoe deals in the NFL are not common. They're usually reserved for established stars, franchise quarterbacks, players who have already proven themselves over multiple seasons, not rookies, and especially not late-round draft picks still building their resume. That's why this announcement hit so hard. Because this wasn't a simple endorsement or limited edition colorway. This was a full signature line. A shoe designed around one player's brand, image, and identity. That kind of investment signals something deeper. It means companies aren't just reacting to current performance, they're betting on long-term influence. And that's what made fans stop scrolling. Brands don't move like this without data, without projections, without confidence that a player can move culture, not just chains on the field. This move wasn't about touchdowns. It was about marketability, personality, and reach, about who people talk about, who trends, who fans connect with beyond game day. Timing made it even smarter. The reveal happened during the Pro Bowl, a nationally watched event with non-stop media coverage. That meant the announcement didn't just reach football fans. It reached casual viewers, sneaker culture, social media audiences, and brand watchers all at once. One moment turned into multiple headlines. And then there's the April release window. That's off-season season. No games, no weekly football distractions, which means attention shifts toward player moves, training updates, and brand drops. Releasing a signature sneaker in that window keeps relevance high when most players disappear from the spotlight. That's strategy. But of course, not everyone was impressed. Critics immediately jumped in saying he hadn't earned it yet, that he should wait, that this kind of deal should come later. But here's the reality: signature shoes aren't only about production. They're about influence, visibility, cultural pull. And right now, few young quarterbacks are pulling more attention than this. And that's why this deal mattered more than the design itself. It wasn't just footwear. It was a signal that the league and the business side of it is starting to view him differently. But once fans actually saw the shoes, that's when things exploded even more. Because the reaction wasn't quiet. It was instant. The moment the shoe footage dropped, social media went into overdrive. Comment sections filled up within minutes. Screenshots started circulating. Fans were zooming in on details, asking about release dates, asking about colorways, asking where they could pre-order. And that response told brands everything they needed to know. Because attention is currency, and right now, Shedeur Sanders has it. Some fans immediately called the design clean. Others said they'd be lining up in April, but not everyone was celebrating. Critics showed up fast, arguing that he hadn't done enough yet, that rookies shouldn't get signature deals, that this was more hype than substance. And that debate became part of the story. Because this wasn't just about shoes anymore. It turned into a bigger conversation about what matters more in today's NFL: on-field production or off-field influence. Supporters pointed out his leadership moments at the Pro Bowl, his mic'd-up footage, his ability to command attention without forcing it. Critics kept pointing at stats and draft position, two completely different lenses. But here what stood out. Through all of that noise, Shedeur didn't jump into the argument. He didn't fire back on social media. He didn't clap back at critics. Instead, he stayed focused on the experience itself. And when reporters finally asked him what the Pro Bowl moment meant to him, his answer surprised a lot of people. Because instead of flexing, he got humble. And that response revealed a side of his mindset most people weren't expecting. Which is where this story takes another turn. When the cameras finally turned towards Shedeur Sanders and reporters asked what this moment meant to him, most people expected confidence, maybe even a little swagger. What they got instead was humility. He didn't talk about proving doubters wrong. He didn't brag about being a Pro Bowler. He didn't hype up the shoe deal. Instead, he spoke about gratitude, about how surreal it felt to be surrounded by elite players and coaches, about appreciating the opportunity rather than flexing the outcome. And that caught people off guard. Because the internet had already built a narrative around him, confident, flashy, controversial. But this response didn't match that image. It showed someone grounded, someone focused on growth instead of validation. That mattered. It shifted the conversation from hype to mindset, from branding to mentality, from outside noise to internal discipline. At the same time, the mic'd-up footage from practice added another layer. In one exchange, Shedeur was heard breaking down routes with a receiver, explaining exactly where he wanted separation, how timing mattered near the goal line, and when to adjust based on coverage. That wasn't casual talk. That was real quarterback thinking. It showed preparation. It showed awareness. It showed leadership in real time. And suddenly, people started connecting the dots. The shoe deal made sense. The Pro Bowl recognition made more sense. The attention made more sense, because this wasn't just a player riding hype. This was someone actively building credibility behind the scenes. But here's the part that really matters. While fans were focused on the present moment, there was a bigger strategy unfolding quietly in the background. A strategy built around timing, visibility, and staying relevant even when football isn't being played. And once you understand that piece, everything clicks into place. What made this entire situation even smarter wasn't just the shoe deal itself, it was when it happened. Dropping this announcement during the Pro Bowl wasn't random. That's one of the few moments in the NFL calendar when players, media, brands, and fans are all locked in at the same time. National coverage, constant social clips, endless highlight reposts. That's maximum visibility. And then there's the April release window. April sits right in the heart of the offseason. No weekly games, no Sunday distractions. That's when fans are hungry for football-related content. That's when player moves, training clips, and brand announcements dominate the timeline. By releasing his signature shoes during that stretch, Shedeur Sanders keeps his name circulating even when most players fade into the background. That's brand positioning. It's not just about selling sneakers. It's about staying relevant, staying visible, staying part of the conversation year-round. And that's exactly what elite athletes do when they transition from player to public figure. What makes this even more interesting is what's happening behind the scenes with the organization. The Cleveland Browns have continued adding staff and resources around their young quarterback, signaling that they aren't just hopping for development, they're actively investing in it. That matters, because long-term success isn't built alone. It's built through infrastructure. And then there's the mentorship layer. With guidance from figures like Michael Vick, Shedeur isn't just learning how to throw better passes. He's learning how to navigate attention, pressure, and expectations at the professional level. That combination, organizational support plus veteran mentorship, creates a rare advantage for a rookie. And suddenly, this whole situation stops feeling accidental. The Pro Bowl appearance, the mic'd-up leadership clips, the signature shoe reveal, the off-season timing, it all fits together. This isn't about one viral moment. It's about positioning himself for the next phase of his career, where football performance and brand presence start moving side by side. And that brings us to the real takeaway of this entire story. Because this moment isn't just flashy, it's foundational. When you step back and look at everything that happened, it becomes clear this wasn't just another Pro Bowl storyline. This was a turning point. Shedeur Sanders didn't just show up to the Pro Bowl, he showed leadership in mic'd-up footage. He worked alongside Michael Vick. He announced a signature sneaker line as a rookie, and he did it all while staying calm, humble, and locked in. That combination is rare. Most young players get attention for highlights. Some get buzz for personality. Very few manage to balance performance, branding, mentorship, and timing all at once. And that's what made this moment feel different. Because this wasn't about flexing. It was about positioning. Positioning himself as more than just a quarterback, more than just a rookie story, more than just a trending name. This was about stepping into a space where football success and cultural influence start to overlap. And whether people agree with the Pro Bowl selection or not, one thing is undeniable: the league is watching. Brands are watching. Fans are watching. And the conversation around Shedeur has officially shifted. From "is he legit?" to how far can this go? And that's the real takeaway. This isn't the peak, it's the foundation, the beginning of a phase where expectations rise, pressure increases, and opportunities multiply. What happens next will matter even more than what already happened. So now the question is whether Shedeur belongs in the spotlight. The real question is, can he turn this momentum into long-term dominance? Because if this Pro Bowl moment is any indication, this story is just getting started. And the next chapter might be even bigger.